It was never conceived as a mere statue. It was born as an operation, a political gambit, a technical marvel, a desperate campaign for funds, and finally, a transoceanic voyage undertaken in pieces. At its heart lay a question as simple as it was profound. How does one forge a symbol to speak to millions without uttering a single word? The setting: a world in Across the Atlantic, the old continent seethed with tension, a volatile landscape of crumbling monarchies, simmering revolts, and power in constant, violent transition. In France, one man, the intellectual and politician Édouard de la Boulaye, looked westward. He saw America not as a perfect nation, but as a successful experiment. A real, functioning republic that had, against all odds, endured. From this observation, an idea took root. A gift for the American people. Not a painting, not a medal, but a monument of staggering scale, visible from afar, carrying a singular message. Liberty is not a given, but a project, one that must be built and then defended.
But such an idea required more than a patron. It needed an artist, unafraid of the impossible. In Paris, a sculptor named Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi received the absurd proposal. He was ambitious, obstinate, and possessed by a lifelong obsession with the colossal. Bartholdi grasped the core principle immediately. If this statue were to become an icon, it could not be modest. It had to be immense. It had to dominate the horizon, to appear as a thing of myth.
He sailed for America in search of the perfect stage. As his ship entered New York Harbor, he saw a small, unassuming piece of land, Bedloe's Island. The realization was electric. Here. It had to be here. Because every soul arriving from the sea would see her first. Before the buildings, before the streets, before the continent itself. This choice transformed the project. It was no longer just a monument. It was a greeting and a declaration. A welcome, but also a quiet warning. Here, ideals matter. Now came the challenge few could imagine. The Statue of Liberty is not a solid sculpture carved from stone. It is a hollow thing, a delicate skin of metal stretched over an iron skeleton. How could a figure, rising dozens of meters into the sky, be engineered to withstand the relentless assault of wind, rain, heat, and cold, and stand for generations? The solution began with copper. Relatively lightweight, remarkably malleable, and with an almost magical ability to protect itself over time by forming the iconic green patina the world now knows. But a copper skin alone would collapse. It needed an internal armature, a spine. And here, a name often lost in the shadow of the monument enters the story. A man without whom the statue as we know it would never exist. Gustave Eiffel. The marriage of art and engineering, of a sculptor's dream and an architect's logic, was about to give a permanent physical form to the most elusive of human aspirations.
Yes, that Eiffel. Gustave Eiffel and his engineering cadre approached the statue's interior not as a sculpture, but as a tower. They conceived of a formidable central pylon, a robust iron spine from which a secondary, more delicate skeleton of trusses and supports would branch out. This intricate framework was designed to hold the copper skin, but crucially, never to imprison it. This distinction was fundamental, for the colossus had to move.
It needed to sway, not with the alarming lurch of instability, but with a subtle, calculated grace. It had to yield just enough to avoid breaking. The relentless winds of the New York harbor would push against it. The brutal summer sun would cause its metallic flesh to expand, and the biting winter cold would force it to contract. To render it as rigid as a mountain of stone would be to condemn it to a slow, inevitable demise. A structure that cannot bend will sooner or later shatter. And so, Eiffel constructed something far more intelligent. A system that allowed the statue to live, to breathe with the seasons, to dance with the gales.
And what of that copper skin?
It was not forged from massive, thick plates, but from hundreds of relatively thin sheets, each meticulously shaped using a painstaking technique known as repoussé. This ancient craft involves hammering the malleable copper from the reverse side, patiently coaxing it into precise, three-dimensional forms. It was a symphony of hammers, a slow and almost obsessive labor that gave birth to every detail. The subtle curve of a cheek, the deep, cascading folds of a toga, the individual strands of hair swept back from a resolute brow, the delicate crease of a knuckle on a hand holding a tablet. This was not the work of a single artist carving a monolithic block. This was a monumental assembly, a puzzle of epic proportions.
As the statue gradually took shape in Paris, its creator, Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, was far more than a visionary sculptor. He was a master foreman, a relentless project manager. He oversaw the construction of individual pieces, directed their assembly, ordered their disassembly, and re-inspected every single component. His workshop was not merely an artist's studio, it was an industrial yard, a testament to precision engineering married with classical art.
And beyond the din of the Parisian workshop, a simpler, more brutal question began to echo across the Atlantic. Who would pay for it all? The initial agreement had been deceptively clear. The people of France would fund and build the statue, and the people of the United States would fund and construct its massive pedestal. What seemed a straightforward pact of international goodwill descended into a logistical and financial nightmare. The statue was fantastically expensive, but the pedestal was a colossal undertaking in its own right. It was discovered that while the public would applaud grand speeches about liberty, their generosity often vanished when it came time to open their wallets.
In France, a determined campaign of lotteries, public subscriptions, and private donations slowly, piece by piece, gathered the necessary funds. But in the United States, the situation ground to a halt. The pedestal project was stalled, starved of capital. The entire endeavor teetered on the brink of becoming an international farce, a monument to a broken promise. It was at this moment of crisis that a thoroughly modern force intervened: mass communication.
A Hungarian immigrant, the newspaper magnate Joseph Pulitzer, saw the looming failure not as a defeat, but as an opportunity. Using the immense reach of his newspaper, the New York World, he launched a blistering, impassioned public campaign. His appeal was not directed at the wealthy philanthropists who had so far proven reluctant. Instead, he spoke directly to the common citizen. His message was a direct challenge. If you truly desire this symbol of freedom, then you must prove it, not with a fortune, but with whatever you can spare, a single dollar, a coin. He framed the statue not as a gift to the elite, but as a monument belonging to every single American.
And it worked. A deluge of small contributions began to flow in from across the nation, thousands upon thousands of them. The pedestal was saved, not by the wealth of a few, but by the will of the many. The Statue of Liberty would not merely be a gift from on high. It was now an object forged from the very participation of the people it was meant to inspire.
Back in France, the statue was finally complete. For a trial run, it was fully assembled in the heart of Paris, a copper giantess towering over the city's rooftops. Every rivet, every joint, every seam was scrutinized to ensure a perfect fit between the outer skin and the inner skeleton. Only after this exhaustive verification did the project face its final, gigantic problem. How does one transport a titan across an ocean? The answer was as audacious as the project itself. You do not. Instead, you unbuild it. The Statue of Liberty, a finished masterpiece, was methodically dissected into more than 350 individual copper and iron components. Each piece was numbered, cataloged, and packed into crates for the long voyage. The symbol of unity was first broken down into its constituent parts, a powerful, unintended metaphor. For it was never conceived as a single, indivisible whole, but as a promise, pieced together by countless hands from countless small offerings, destined to be reassembled on a distant shore.
Each piece is numbered, meticulously catalogued, and organized. It is an exercise in pure logistics. For a single miscalculation, a single lost component or warped plate of copper would render the entire reconstruction an impossible nightmare.
The components are sealed within wooden crates and loaded onto the hull of a French naval vessel, the Isère. And here, the symbol assumes an almost comical irony. Liberty, the grandest of ideals, is crossing the ocean, locked away in boxes, disassembled and silent.
The voyage is fraught with peril. The Atlantic, in its fury, throws tempests at the vessel, pitching the ship in a maelstrom of iron and wind. In that moment, the story intensifies. If this ship goes down, it is not merely a cargo that is lost. It is years of labor, a fortune in funds, the reputation of two nations, and a symbol, extinguished before it can ever truly be born.
But the Isère endures. As it sails into New York Harbor, the island chosen years before finally transforms from a place of potential into a true construction site. It is called Bedloe's Island, a name that history will soon forget, replacing it with Liberty Island.
The pedestal, a monumental work in its own right, designed by the architect Richard Morris Hunt, is nearly complete. It is enormous, a brutalist statement of purpose, engineered to bear the weight of a colo.
Now begins the assembly, a moment few can truly visualize. This is not simply construction, it is a resurrection. Teams of workers ascend the scaffolding. Some assemble the intricate iron skeleton within, the very bones of the giantess. Others painstakingly affix the thin copper panels, one by one, each sheet returning to its precise, designated place. It is a puzzle weighing hundreds of tons, played out against the New York sky.
When she is finally completed in 1886, the statue is inaugurated. From that moment forward, she is no longer a project, no longer a collection of parts. She becomes a fixed point in the landscape, an object that embeds itself into the collective mind of a nation and eventually the world.
But the Statue of Liberty is also a vessel of profound contradictions. The freedom it proclaims is an ideal, not a photograph of reality. In the very decades of its construction and inauguration, the United States is a nation of deep social wounds, of staggering discrimination, of violent tensions and crushing poverty. For millions, the rights she represents remain an elusive dream.
The statue, therefore, is not proof that all is well. It is a promise that things ought to be better, and it is precisely this tension that makes her so powerful. She is potent not because she chronicles a perfect reality, but because she holds an objective before the eyes of the world, and she compels all who see it to measure themselves against that ideal.
Then comes the most profound transformation of all. It is not technical, but human. Between the late 19th and early 20th centuries, millions of souls traversed the Atlantic, fleeing famine, persecution, and war. They arrive exhausted, sick, and terrified, their worldly possessions reduced to what they could carry.
For so many of them, the first sign that the grueling journey is over is her, the statue, rising from the harbor. And here, her function changes entirely. She began as a political gift, a monument to the friendship between nations. Now, she becomes a door, a signal, an emotional threshold. On one side lies the vast, unforgiving sea they have left behind. On the other, a sprawling, unknown city. And in between stands this immense figure who does not speak, yet makes herself understood. She is not a monument to a past alliance, but a silent welcome to a possible future. She is an idea cast in copper, a question posed to every generation that gazes upon her.
What is the meaning of liberty? And for whom does it shine?
Her crown is a radiant diadem, its 7 spikes piercing the sky. They are often read as a tribute to the 7 continents and the 7 seas, a declaration that the liberty she embodies is meant to be universal. In her left arm, she cradles a tablet, a keystone of law and order, bearing a single momentous date, July the 4th, 1776, the day a new nation declared its independence. But it is at her feet that a more profound, often overlooked secret is kept. There, obscured by the folds of her robe and invisible from many angles, lie broken chains. They are a stark and powerful testament. Liberty is not merely a welcoming embrace, it is an act of rupture, the violent shattering of a bond. This is why she is not static. She is in motion, striding forward, breaking free from the shackles of the past. She is an idea advancing through time.
And the torch she raises, it too tells a story of endurance. Over the decades, it has been modified, restored, and entirely rebuilt. An object so exposed, weathering the salt spray and brutal winds of the Atlantic, can never remain unchanged. The statue has been a work site many times in its life, a subject of constant maintenance, reinforcement, and renewal. A silent admission that even the most powerful symbols are fragile.
But why a woman? In the artistic traditions of the Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi's creation is not a classical, gentle muse. She is modern, austere, almost severe. Her face is not soft. It does not offer a smile. It is the face of resolve. A gaze that seems to state that freedom is not a comfort to be enjoyed, but a profound responsibility to be shouldered.
This message is forged into her very structure. This is no delicate monument. It was engineered to resist, to stand against the storm. Its fame, however, is not simply because it is a marvel of construction, nor even because of its beauty. It is famous because it stands in the right place, at the right time, imbued with the right meaning. Had this same monument been placed in a quiet inland park, far from the Har,
Instead, it was placed at the gateway to a continent. It is a sentinel, the first thing seen by those arriving from the sea, a signal before it is a work of art. This was the true stroke of genius, not just how she was made, but where she was placed. For more than a century, she has watched as history is washed against her shores. World wars, economic crises, social upheavals, waves of migration, and bitter political conflict. And still, she stands. She is a symbol, constructed of metal and bolts, yet she speaks of an idea that is never guaranteed. Liberty does not arrive fully assembled. It must be built piece by piece, and if the work ever ceases, it collapses. And perhaps this is why the figure with the torch remains so potent. Not because she promises a perfect world, but because she serves as a merciless reminder that a better one is a task without end.